fondant and gold leaf that probably cost more than most people's monthly salary. My sister Diana had made sure everyone knew she'd ordered it from the most exclusive bakery in Manhattan. I sat quietly at the corner of our family's massive dining table, watching the performance unfold at my mother's 60th birthday celebration. "And this," Diana announced, presenting an elegantly wrapped box, "is from Michael and me." She shot me a smug look as she handed our mother a distinctive blue Tiffany's box. My mother gasped appropriately as she opened it to reveal a diamond necklace. "Oh darling, it's beautiful." I glanced down at my simple wrapped package, knowing what was coming next. The annual tradition of making the family disappointment feel even more disappointing. "Sarah's turn." Diana chirped with fake enthusiasm. "What did you get Mom this year?" All eyes turned to me. At 33, I was the younger daughter who'd thrown away her promising career at a prestigious bank 5 years ago to start my own financial advisory firm. What they didn't know was that Kingston Financial Solutions had become one of the largest private lending institutions in the country, operating through a network of subsidiary banks and investment firms. I pushed my modest package across the table. "It's not much, just something I thought you'd like, Mom." Inside was a handmade photo album I'd spent months putting together, filled with family memories from the past 60 years. Not expensive but meaningful, or so I'd thought. "Oh," my mother said, her disappointment poorly concealed. "How creative." "That's Sarah," Diana stage whispered to her husband Michael, loud enough for everyone to hear. "She can't even afford a proper gift. Still trying to make it with that little financial advice business of hers." Michael, who worked as a senior executive at First National Bank, chuckled. "You know, Sarah, there's always a position available in our loan department if you want a real job." I sipped my wine, thinking about the memo sitting on my desk that detailed First National's struggling mortgage division, the same division Michael oversaw. They'd been desperately seeking a bailout for months, unaware that Kingston Financial had been quietly buying up their debt. "Thanks, but I'm doing fine," I replied mildly. "Fine?" Diana scoffed. "You live in that tiny apartment downtown while we're in our new mansion in the Heights. That's not fine, that's barely surviving." What she didn't know was that I own not just my tiny apartment, but the entire building. And 3 others like it. Or that the mansion she was so proud of was technically owned by one of my subsidiary banks. Dad, who'd retired from his CEO position last year, joined in. "Diana's right, sweetheart. It's not too late to return to a proper career. Your sister and Michael are doing so well, they just bought that vacation home in the Hamptons." I thought about the mortgage application for that same Hamptons house sitting in my pending approval queue. They'd been denied by 3 other banks before applying to Kingston Financial through one of our subsidiaries. "The housing market is quite volatile right now," I commented. "It's important to be cautious with mortgages." Michael waved his hand dismissively. "What would you know about high-end real estate? Your little advisory firm probably deals with people's grocery budgets." Just then my phone rang. I checked the caller ID. It was Jessica, my executive assistant. I wouldn't normally take a call during a family dinner, but something in the timing felt right. "Excuse me, I need to take this," I said, standing up. "Of course she's working during Mom's birthday dinner." Diana rolled her eyes. Probably one of her budget clients having a crisis over their credit card bill. I put the phone on speaker as I answered, staying within earshot of the table. "Yes, Jessica? Sorry to disturb you, Ms. Kingston, but we need your decision on the Morrison family mortgage extensions. First National Bank is pushing for an answer on their bailout proposal as well. Should I approve the applications?" The room went deadly silent. Diana's fork clattered against her plate. "Which properties are we talking about?" I asked calmly, watching the color drain from Michael's face. "The Heights mansion, the Hamptons vacation home, and Mr. Morrison's new yacht loan," Jessica replied professionally. "Total exposure approximately $12 million. Michael was now standing, his expression a mix of shock and dawning horror. "Kingston Financial. You're Sarah Kingston?" I smiled, finally letting my carefully maintained facade drop. "Actually, it's Sarah Kingston Morrison. I changed my professional name when I started the company. Didn't want any family complications." The silence in the room was deafening. My mother's diamond necklace suddenly seemed to weigh heavily on her neck as she struggled to process what she'd just heard. Diana's perfectly maintained composure cracked like thin ice. "That's impossible," Michael sputtered, his face cycling through shades of red. Kingston Financial is a multi-billion-dollar institution. They own half the mortgages in the state. I turned back to my phone. Jessica, please send over the complete portfolio report for the Morrison family accounts. And schedule a meeting with First National's board for Monday morning. Of course, Ms. Kingston. Should I mention you'll be discussing Michael Morrison's department's performance? That won't be necessary just yet. I ended the call and turned back to my shell-shocked family. Now where were we? Ah yes, discussing my little financial advice business. Diana found her voice first. You're lying. This is some kind of trick. I pulled out my phone again, opening my banking app and sliding it across the table. The private account balance made my mother gasp. That's just my personal account, I said quietly. The company itself is worth considerably more. Dad picked up my phone with trembling hands. But, how? Remember when I left Hamilton Brothers Bank? You all said I was committing career suicide. I took a sip of wine. What you didn't know was that I'd already secured backing from 3 major investors who believed in my vision for a different kind of financial institution. Michael was now frantically checking something on his phone. The Kingston Group's recent acquisition of Pacific West Banking. That was you? Among others. I nodded. We've been quietly acquiring struggling banks and turning them around. Including, most recently, significant portions of First National's mortgage division. The irony wasn't lost on anyone that Michael had been trying to solve his department's crisis by applying to my company for help. The Hamptons house, Diana whispered, is currently under review for mortgage approval by my firm, yes. I turned to her. Along with this mansion, the yacht and several other loans you've taken out recently. My mother's birthday cake sat forgotten as the implications sank in. Every luxury they'd flaunted, every achievement they'd lorded over me, had been built on loans that I ultimately controlled. Why didn't you tell us? Mom asked softly. Would it have mattered? I replied. 5 years ago when I started Kingston Financial, you all made it very clear what you thought of my choices. Diana, you said I was throwing my life away. Dad, you refused to even discuss my business plan. Dad had the grace to look ashamed. We were wrong. Yes, you were. I stood up, straightening my jacket. But this isn't about revenge. It's about business. And right now, we need to discuss some concerning patterns in your loan applications. Michael went pale. Sarah, about what I said earlier. Save it. I held up my hand. Monday morning, 9 a.m. my office. Bring your complete department financials. Michael? Don't bother with the executive entrance. Your access has been revoked pending review. Diana started to say something but I cut her off. Your mortgage applications will be evaluated according to standard protocols. No special treatment, positive or negative. As I gathered my things to leave, Mom spoke up again. Sir, wait. Your gift. The photo album. I'm sorry I didn't appreciate it. I paused at the door. That's the difference between us, Mom. You all think value only comes with a designer label or a big price tag. I built my company understanding that true worth isn't always visible on the surface. Monday morning arrived with a crisp autumn chill. I sat in my corner office on the 50th floor, watching Michael pace nervously in the reception area through the glass walls. Gone was his usual confident strut, replaced by the anxious shuffling of a man who just discovered he'd been mocking his own boss for years. Send him in, Jessica, I said through the intercom. Michael entered, clutching his portfolio like a shield. The contrast between his current demeanor and his condescending attitude at Mom's birthday party was striking. Have a seat, I gestured to the chair across from my desk. I assume you've reviewed your department's numbers? He nodded, spreading out documents with trembling hands. Sarah, about everything dash. Miss Kingston in this building, I corrected quietly. Let's keep this professional. The next hour was a detailed dissection of his department's failures. Every risky loan, every overlooked red flag, every instance of poor judgment laid bare. By the end, Michael's designer tie hung loose around his neck, his forehead beaded with sweat. So, I concluded, you have 2 options. Immediate resignation with a standard severance package, or a significant demotion to junior analyst, where you'll learn proper risk assessment under supervision. You can't be serious, he stammered. I have 20 years of experience. And in those 20 years, you've accumulated a portfolio with a 40% default risk. Experience doesn't equal competence, Michael. Just then my phone buzzed. Diana's here, Jessica announced. Send her in. Diana burst through the door in designer heels that probably cost more than her monthly mortgage payment. The same mortgage I now controlled. This is ridiculous, she declared, then faltered as she took in my office's spectacular view and the obvious trappings of power she'd somehow never noticed before. You can't treat us like this. We're family. Exactly, I replied calmly. Which is why I'm offering Michael options instead of immediate termination, and why your mortgage applications are still under consideration despite multiple red flags. Red flags? Diana's voice rose an octave. I pulled up her file on my tablet. 6 properties in 3 years, each with increasingly leveraged financing. Your household income doesn't support this level of debt, Diana. Any responsible lender would have cut you off 2 houses ago. My sister sank into a chair, her carefully constructed world crumbling. What are you going to do? My job. Protecting my institution while helping clients make sound financial decisions. I handed her a folder. This is a structured debt consolidation plan. It requires selling the Hamptons house and the yacht, but it would let you keep the primary residence. Tears smeared her expensive mascara. Mom and Dad are devastated. They haven't stopped talking about how they misjudged you. They judged what they could see, I replied. That was their mistake. Success isn't always visible from the outside. Later that evening, as I worked late in my office, Dad came to see me. He stood awkwardly in the doorway of the empire his unsuccessful daughter had built. I was wrong, he said simply. And I've never been more proud to be wrong in my life. I thought about the photo album I'd given Mom, about all the memories of a family that measured worth in designer labels and square footage. Maybe now we can build some new memories, I said. Ones based on who we are, not what we own. Your mother opened the album again last night, he said quietly. Really looked at it this time. She cried when she saw the picture of you graduating business school. Said she couldn't believe she'd forgotten what that day felt like. I smiled, thinking of the quiet revenge of kindness. Tell her next year's birthday gift will be just as meaningful. Though she might appreciate knowing her daughter can afford diamonds too. No, Dad shook his head. I think she finally understands which things are actually valuable. As he left, I looked out over the city lights, thinking about success and family and the different ways we measure worth. Sometimes the big